So welcome to this episode with me, Martin Franson, that runs Welledge in Utah. And today I had the honor to have with me one of my dear teachers and mentors, Dr. Marvin Talsky, who's one of the granddads of tonal chiropractic. And you told me a week or so ago that it's your 59th year working as a chiropractor. To me, you're a great inspiration. So I'm so much looking forward to hear it myself and getting the audience, which is both lay people and chiropractors and other practitioners, to hear your story from chiropractic and especially tonal chiropractic and your own, because you have developed your own system that I've taken twice, Talsky tonal chiropractic, to get people to understand what tone in chiropractic means, and because that's what D.D. Palmer said, the founder of chiropractic. All comes down to tone. So let's start there. Your journey towards as a chiropractic student to becoming a chiropractor and into tonal, and then developing your own system, which is a delicious way of giving care to people to reach their potential.
True. I went into chiropractic when I found out what it really was. I had no idea what chiropractic was. I had no interest in the healing arts whatsoever. I was in my first year of college, not knowing what I was going to do. And I was taking business with no specifics. And my father had a situation where he needed to go to a new chiropractor because his old one had died. And he was in a bad way. So he needed me to drive him. I drove him and met this new chiropractor, a recent Palmer graduate, from Palmer College of Chiropractic.
Yeah.
The original chiropractic college in Davenport, Iowa. And after he helped my father, he wanted to speak to me about what I was interested in and consider chiropractic. Well, it was the first thing that I ever found that ever really grabbed me, understanding what chiropractic really was. Let me just say at this time, understanding that it wasn't just another treatment for aches and pains.
Yeah.
It was a way of clearing the physical nervous system of trapped patterns, stuck patterns in the software of the nervous system. Of course, I didn't understand it that way then. And it was about recognizing that we experience our entire physical life through our nervous system.
Yeah.
Sensory and motor, that the nervous system is dependent upon accurately perceiving what's going on in your body multiple times per second, what's happening to you environmentally, and what you're thinking about. And to help you better function, better adapt, better recover from things you can't immediately adapt to, better heal, and very importantly, better perform in your everyday activities or any skill that you've developed. A musician, an athlete, even everyday work at a desk. It improves your ability to perceive and perform better.
Yeah.
And he encouraged. I was 18 or 19 at the time, and he encouraged my father and I to go visit the Palmer College of Chiropractic. When we did after a few months, and I was so impressed. I said, I want to go. And we registered, it was springtime, 1960, and I registered to start in October. And so I started at the Palmer College of Chiropractic in October of 1960.
Yeah.
And I didn't know it at the time, but I went straight through. I didn't take the summers off like most people do. And largely because I married the love of my life at the time, and she moved out to Davenport, which is where the Palmer College of Chiropractic is, Davenport, Iowa, on the border of Illinois. I went straight through it, graduated. They didn't have national boards at that time. They only had state boards, which you could only take after you graduated. So studying for taking state boards, making a tour of Chicago neighborhoods and suburbs to try to decide where I could set up the practice. And I ended up setting up a practice with a partner at the time, and we started in July of 1965.
Yeah.
And I've been in continuous 5-day-a-week practice ever since.
Wow.
I've never taken a break from practice. It's been consistent. The longest vacation I ever took in 1 year was 3 weeks, and but usually in most of the years, just a 1 week vacation a year. That's all. Now, otherwise, 5 days a week. So I started out before anybody was talking about tone, because even though the founder of chiropractic, Daniel David Palmer, said he founded chiropractic based on tone, it was the major principle.
Yeah.
He died only 18 years after he discovered chiropractic and made the first adjustment.
Yeah.
Only 18 years, and only 16 years after he started teaching chiropractic. And he did write one monumental book, which was like a flow of thought. I don't think the book was ever edited. And in 1910, it was published. And he died in 2013. Not 2000, I'm sorry, 1913.
Yeah.
And then his wife published the second, a small volume, really, of different monographs that he had written. Obviously, he was planning on writing a second book, but it was never put together like a book. But she put these separate monographs together and made a book, which is confusing to some people because the terminology used in the different chapters is not consistent.
Yeah.
Because he hadn't put it in the form of a book yet. And but he said one of the biggest problems at that time was that all they were talking about is that the opening in the what we call the intervertebral foramina, the opening where nerve roots come out to go to all parts of the body. The theory was that when a chiropractic problem we term subluxation occurred, the opening would be decreased and interfere physically with the nerve. But he insisted then, and he's been proven correct, that when there's a subluxation, the intervertebral foramina is not occluded, is not decreased, it's actually increased in size, stretching the contents. And newer discoveries in anatomy and physiology have made us realize that the brain and spinal cord, the spinal cord is just an extension of the brain. It's not truly a separate structure. It's an extension of the brain. And both the brain and spinal cord are made out of the finest physical matter there is, and it's totally incapable of supporting itself. So the brain and spinal cord are literally suspended within the multi-layered sheath which envelops the brain and spinal cord, and which in turn is suspended within the movable bony structure at very discriminate points.
Yeah.
And it's multi-layered, and everyone's heard about cerebrospinal fluid, which flows around the spinal cord and brain, but it actually flows in between two of the layers that envelop it, making the fluid actually a layer of the meningeal system. So it's actually a very complicated suspension system. And so what's been discovered physiologically, largely from the work of a Swedish neurosurgeon, Alfred Breg. A Swedish neurosurgeon, and who lived up until about 10 or 15 years ago. And he's the one who said, we have to realize that this multi-layered sheath is not just something to get out of the way for a neurosurgeon. It's not just something to be cut and removed. It has very important function, and it does. And so it's being discovered that that the nervous system communicates not only through the spinal cord, but actually through the meningeal system as well, the multi-layered system that envelops the brain and spinal cord. So it's really quite an interdependent system, structurally and functionally and physiologically. And so it's been discovered that Daniel David Palmer was correct. The issue is abnormal stretching and twisting of the spinal cord far more than spinal cord pressure or nerve root pressure. It's stretching, not pressure. Pressure can exist, but only when there's extreme injury or extreme advanced degeneration. So it's not the primary issue. Stretching and twisting is the primary issue. And tonal chiropractic is first and foremost chiropractic. And it's there's never been a sharp line of demarcation between mechanistic chiropractic and tonal chiropractic. So in chiropractic's first 100 years, from 1895 to 1995, there were many techniques developed, but they all fit into one model. Model meaning, or paradigm meaning, the way different techniques are applied. So many different techniques, one model. And then tonal work started to emerge without a recognition that it was different or that it was tonal. So I don't think I should take time to go into the step-by-step discoveries that were made and the implementation of tonal work way before the name was applied.
Mm.
But just to understand that tonal chiropractic is first and foremost chiropractic. Tonal is not a technique, it's a model.
Yeah.
It's the way chiropractic is applied. And there have emerged a number of different tonal chiropractic techniques that fit into the newer model. Now, the newer model of chiropractic, tonal, does not negate mechanistic chiropractic. It just puts it within a much larger model of application and accomplishment. So my work, what I teach, is the fundamental understanding of the model. So my seminars that I teach give the most comprehensive understanding of the model as a whole, and then also includes specific techniques of application.
Yeah.
Based on the model. To me, it's more important that people understand why we do what we do than just do this.
Yeah.
Just do it this way. Just do it this way, which other techniques are. Just do it this way. So my techniques are offered as options and not a have to, but a get to. And so the model understands that we're working with a dynamic living system. And do you want me to go into the functional units of mechanistic chiropractic and tonal? Yes or no?
Touching on it, a short version of it, yeah. And also, like, within chiropractic, there's been this focus on the segment and tonal, looking at the whole system, and also so much of chiropractic in among people is connected with that it's a thrust and it's the popping sound. It's a more forceful application, and few know the variety of techniques, especially within tonal, where there's very, very light touch applications, very, very light touches, no more than, touching your eyeball, to get a very dramatic shift in the physiology, working from the inside out. So you have a beautiful way of talking about that, and as I remember it, and getting that understanding of.
Yeah, well, you definitely touched on the difference.
Yeah.
The mechanistic model is about attempting to forcibly move separate problems as they're viewed, separate problems, and forcing a bone that's perceived out of place back into place.
Yeah.
Moving a bone. So applying all the force necessary with a straight line adjustment or with a twisting adjustment. So chiropractors have naturally fallen into a fix-it consciousness.
Yeah.
And trying to isolate problems as being completely separate. But in tonal chiropractic, we recognize, without going into a lot of detail, that it's a global unit. And the global unit is the entire brain and spinal cord, a consideration of the multi-layered sheath which envelops the brain and spinal cord, the bones, the cranium, a vertebral column, and pelvis, and most importantly, the connections
Yeah.
between the brain and spinal cord and the coverings, and the connection between the coverings to the movable bony structure.
Yeah.
And so in tonal chiropractic, we're looking at where in the entire global system is it most open and receptive to input. And we're not fixing it. We're not even adjusting it. We're communicating a corrective intent to an intelligent system
Yeah.
that wants to correct.
Yeah.
Even in the principles of chiropractic and the philosophy of chiropractic, it is said that the body makes the adjustment. You can manipulate a dead body, but you can't adjust a dead body.
Yeah.
That it is the intelligence of a living body itself that makes the adjustment by taking the force either applied to it or its own force through breath and movement to make the adjustment.
Mm.
So it's not about the chiropractor fixing or even adjusting. We facilitate an intelligent system to adjust itself by finding where it's most open and receptive to input and then communicating a corrective intent through touch. So it's not that tonal chiropractic makes the adjustment with light touch. It's that we communicate and facilitate the body and empower the body to adjust itself.
Yeah.
And so a single adjustment is initiating a process.
Yeah.
Ongoing chiropractic care allows us to build a corrective momentum, an ongoing corrective process. And so people need ongoing chiropractic for two reasons. Number one, we're living in an environment created by humanity. We're living in an environment created by humanity, not a natural environment.
Mm.
We're living in an artificial environment created by humanity, and there's nothing natural about it. We walk on artificially hard and flat surfaces. We do more sitting than anything else. The body's not designed to sit. It's designed to squat, not sit.
Yeah.
And if you maintain it, because all human babies born anywhere in the world in so-called civilization or not, naturally, when they finally start to walk, if they don't fall, if they stop, they'll assume a flat-footed squat.
Yeah.
Because it's natural. And indigenous people do that for the rest of their lives. People all over the world that live in what we call primitive, I call natural, environment, sit that way, rest that way. It's not really sitting. Sitting is opposite. Sitting causes stress in the spine, causes muscles that are designed for movement to maintain constant contraction unnatural. And in a flat-footed squat, there's no compression. You're actually creating a physiological stretching, a natural physiological stretching, taking weight off the joints, off the bodies of the vertebra, enhancing the flow of energy. It's a natural life-supporting posture.
Yeah.
And so why do we give it up? Why do babies that are born in so-called civilization stop doing it? The answer is because they're taught to sit in chairs. They take babies out of the flat-footed squat and tie them into chairs. And carrying them around in chairs when human babies are designed to be carried next to the body, in contact with the body, learning to grip on to the body.
Yeah.
So we take babies that are born into an unnatural environment, and then we teach them how to be more unnatural. And so these are the things that set the stage for developing chiropractic problems. Too much sitting, not enough movement, increasingly toxic environments from materials that never existed before, that have their own toxicity in the clothes that we wear, in the environmental materials we use for our buildings, the ventilation systems that we've created. They're filtration systems, but they're not natural. And the stuff that we call food, a lot of it isn't food. Yeah, but it's abnormally concentrated, abnormally preserved, abnormally enhanced to look better and taste better, but not be better.
Yeah.
And the worst of all is the cumulative emotional mental stresses, which really has become the primary cause of chiropractic problems.
Yeah.
Emotional, mental. That's causing us, we can understand chiropractic problems that are caused by traumatic force or caused chemically by a traumatic amount of abnormal or a buildup of abnormal chemicals through smell, taste, and food. But worst of all is the repeated and persistent emotional mental stress that causes us to react to everyday stresses, financial stresses, time stresses, into relationship stresses between a significant other, between a boss and an employee, between a teacher and a student, between friends, between opposing groups. Look at, we're doing this interview at a time when another great man-caused problem occurred. We know about the sneak attack of the non-national terrorist group called Hamas, that with a lot of guidance from Iran, set a multi-locational and multi-attack on Israel, and killing mostly civilians.
Yeah.
And then in the midst of the attack, having Hamas troops run through the town, shooting and killing people in the streets.
Yeah.
And causing Israel to defend itself against this, and cause just as much damage on the other side. So, and unfortunately, things like this seem to go on, every generation, and people killing basically their brothers and sisters with different beliefs.
Yeah.
So, and that's above and beyond the everyday demands of life. So living in the world today has become so unnaturally stressful that we're responding to these stresses as if we personally are being attacked by a tiger or a lion or a bear. And we're responding to it like it's life-threatening, like we have to personally fight or run. And we're not. And this is overwhelming the nervous system from inside out, from exaggerated perception, exaggerated response is the number one problem, which leads to chronic ailments, and decreased function.
Yeah.
I don't think it's any coincidence that chiropractic was discovered in 1895, right at the transition between a more natural lifestyle with natural environment, walking on uneven surfaces like earth covered with vegetation, doing very little sitting, a lot of movement in whatever we did, sleeping on surfaces that provided resistance, not a memory foam that you sink into and can't even move. So everyone who finds themselves living in civilization needs chiropractic care, unfortunately. If we lived in a natural setting and we had only one appointment a day, if that, and we did very little sitting and had a lot of movement, there wouldn't be a need for chiropractors. But that's not the case. So starting with the 1900s, around the late 1890s, at 1890 about, there started being more changes than all of history prior.
Yeah.
And becoming increasingly more and more unnatural. And then computers came along. If desk work, sitting at a desk wasn't bad enough, then desktops came, and people got to sit in the same place.
Yeah.
They no longer had to get up to get a reference book or a catalog. They no longer had to get up to put it back. They no longer had to get up to make copies. Everything is connected to one place. Don't move.
Yeah.
Which is terrible. And then what made it worse? Cell phones.
Yeah.
So that's like the nail in the coffin. And people wonder why they're getting headaches, neck pains, why they get migraines, why they get all sorts of chronic ailments. Do you know that before 1900, chronic ailments were rare? They existed to a small degree, but they were rare. Medicine was created out of a need to take care of trauma, infections, acute ailments.
Yeah.
That's what medicine is for, the practice of medicine.
Yeah.
What does the practice of medicine do for chronic ailments? Nothing. Except use pharmaceuticals, which are called management drugs, to attempt to control the symptoms, but not really reverse the ailment.
Yeah.
It's terrible while the underlying problem gets worse. So medicine is not for chronic ailments. What is a chronic ailment? That's an ailment that doesn't resolve itself.
Yeah.
That continues or recurs on a frequent basis. That's what a chronic ailment is. So it's the body stuck in a the body stuck in a no longer appropriate way of responding.
Yeah.
So all chronic ailments have that in common. They're stuck in a no longer repeating or predictable pattern, but they don't go away.
Yeah.
So only chiropractic helps to reverse the problem, sometimes to a complete degree, and a lot of times to a decreasing ability, I shouldn't say ability, an increasing ability and decreasing symptoms.
Yeah.
By facilitating the body to adjust itself in a way that releases the trapped patterns, that the glitch in the nervous system software that causes the body to be stuck in these repeating patterns.
Mm.
So that's my explanation.
A beautiful one.
What?
A beautiful one as well.
Yeah, so do you have questions about that?
Well,
or
it's more like from a layperson's perspective. So then what does the chiropractic, we've spoken about what chiropractic does to a certain degree, you told that, and the reason why chiropractic is needed. So to re-emphasize the value to come to a chiropractor when you live in this modern lifestyle.
Yes. It's a necessity. Unfortunately, not only has the environment been increasingly unnatural, it's actually hostile now.
Yeah.
We live in a hostile environment. And people need ongoing care to reverse a lifetime of developing problems.
Yeah.
And to deal with the problems on a daily basis that we go back to living in.
Yeah.
So for those two reasons, people need to be checked on a regular basis.
Yeah.
I used to be checked. Well, once I discovered chiropractic, I've never been checked less than once a week routinely since I was 19.
Yeah.
I've never been checked less than once a week. As I've aged, as you age, your needs don't decrease, they increase.
Yeah.
We're not meant to live in these really very fragile bodies all that long. The goal is not longer living, it's better living as long as we're alive.
Yeah.
It's the goal is better living, living with less pain and limitation, living with more, with greater adaptability and better functioning in whatever we choose to do. Yes, and the only thing that really offers that is something like chiropractic. There are newer things being discovered now, newer things coming down that really aid people with chronic ailments, and they're being discovered. Thank God for humanity's resilience and creativity. There's other things coming along, and people need more than just chiropractic. But if you live in this environment, everybody needs chiropractic on some frequent, ongoing basis.
Yeah. And that's beyond you don't need to have ailments for getting regular chiropractic. That can be a reason for making start care.
The ideal, yes, the ideal use of chiropractic is proactive and anti-aging.
Yeah.
Now, anti-aging doesn't mean not aging. It means aging with less limitations and difficulties.
Yeah.
That's what anti-aging means.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean stopping aging, because you can't do that. Even the best chiropractic doesn't stop aging. I can tell you that. I get checked regularly because I've been teaching long enough, so I have proteges wherever I go,
Yeah.
and so I'm lucky enough. In the past 2.5 years, I've been co-teaching with two younger chiropractors that have deepened in the work and are both 100% qualified to teach the totality of what I teach. One is Dr. Jeremy Pfau in a suburb of Minneapolis, Minnesota, U.S., and he's the master of application. And when he took my work in 2015, 2 years before you did, he was a solo practitioner and using a mechanistic approach. And now he has three full-time chiropractors in addition to himself. That's 4 full-time chiropractors in one group practice.
Yeah.
Everybody takes care of anybody. And he's mastered it. And he's the great demonstration of this work. And as our work evolves, not only can he co-teach or teach the work entirely by himself, but we're constantly working on how to make this work more available and how to set it up. We're not like other techniques that set up their seminars in hotels and plan them out a year in advance. That would be ideal. But we don't set up our own seminars. We go where someone else sets them up.
Yeah.
Your colleague, Anderson, what was his first name?
Jürgen Anderson. Yeah.
Yeah, Jürgen Anderson set up the first European seminar, called me up and asked me to come out, and I came out, and I didn't know anybody. I didn't know Jürgen. I didn't know you. I didn't know anybody there. And because I put out, right before that happened, I put it out, I'm no longer going to set up any more seminars. I love teaching, but it got overwhelming for me to pull teeth to set up seminars. And so I said, I'm not going to set them up, but I'll go anywhere where someone else sets them up. So I've been doing on the average of 6 seminars a year that other people have set up. And I came out there and I taught, and you came up afterward and said, I'd like to bring you to Stockholm, because the first seminar in Sweden was in Helsingborg.
Yeah.
And so then I came out to your office and taught in your office. And you and I both got confused about the airlines and had an unfortunately costly experience. And which I was almost as shocked about as you. And then I was invited to Germany, and I was scheduled to go back when COVID started, but COVID stopped that.
Yeah.
And now I'm so January 2nd, this coming January 2nd, I'm going to be 82.
Wow.
And 82 years old. And I still love teaching. I don't love traveling.
Yeah.
And, I have to take off extra time to travel to and teach a 3-day seminar, which I love doing. But I've had an increasing difficulty recovering from these trips.
Yeah.
So in the past 2 years, I had to limit invitations to a 2-hour plane ride.
Yeah.
So I no longer accept invitations to teach a seminar that is beyond a 2-hour plane ride.
Yeah. Not even first class flights.
What?
Not even first class flights.
To tell you the truth, I didn't like that first class that flight because it had sleeping arrangements where you can sleep lying down 180 degree flat, and but it's in a tube. It felt like a coffin, and with someone who had increasing urinary needs, it took 11 seconds to get up to a sitting position from that laying down tube. So it's not about that. The only way I could go beyond a 2-hour flight is if I combined it as being a vacation where I had a lot of recovery time, which I can't do on a routine basis.
No.
So in the past 2 years, I've only done 2-hour flight seminars that are within 2 hours. But the good news, here's the good news. Jeremy Fau and Dr. Zachary Collin, who's the master of principles and understanding principles, and is actually, he's a remarkable researcher and a great chiropractor too. He's in the process of setting up an office in the suburb of Detroit, Michigan, in the U.S., on the border of Canada. And so I'm going to be doing I'll be the lead teacher on the first state of Michigan seminar in the suburb of Detroit, the last weekend in this month, October 2023. And hello? Yeah, I lost you for a millisecond.
I hear you clearly.
And I'm on a phone.
Yeah.
They call these handheld computers phones. And so both Dr. Zachary Connor and Dr. Jeremy Fau are totally qualified to teach the entire work. They have the depth, they have the feeling, they have the connection. They can teach the entire seminar. We've updated the work. We're in the process of updating the seminar notes, and they're much better now. We've evolved something I've been working on for 5 years. We've put together one of the most effective discoveries I've ever made.
Wow.
And we call it harmonic resonance. Harmonic resonance. And we've learned how to incorporate that into the work. And it made only one change in the protocol. So I hesitated for a minute there because I got notice of a text that Zachary Connor just made another discovery.
Oh wow!
And
timely.
And no, not finally. Ongoing.
Timely, happening right now.
Yes, timely. Yes, and but the harmonic resonance will blow your mind, and it's blown mind, and we're working on the next step in the evolution of chiropractic adjusting, which was the incorporation of sound.
Oh, yeah.
To the adjustment.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're on the doorstep of that now. And we're working with another chiropractor who has been working with that longer than we have. And we're going to bring it together next year.
Oh, wonderful.
It's so exciting. And to make tonal chiropractic even more effective.
Yeah.
And more powerful. And remember, the whole purpose of the lighter adjusting is to force, for want of a better way of putting it, the patient's body to do more.
Yeah.
To do more. By harnessing its own energy from deeper breathing and nodding.
Yeah.
You remember that? Do you remember the nodding?
I use that all the time, yeah.
Yes.
In conjunction with breathing.
Yeah. It's made a big difference, hasn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And it empowers the body to get more and more out of ongoing care.
Yeah.
And it's the thing that keeps me going. I now get checked by 3 different tonal chiropractors that have deepened in my work and take care of me once a week.
That's wonderful.
Because they want me to take care of them.
Yeah.
So they come to my office and I take care of them first so that I have a clearer chiropractor to take care of me.
That's wonderful.
Yes. And I can't imagine living without that. And I don't know if I would be.
Yeah.
So I have never had a life-threatening illness in my life. No heart attack, no strokes, no borderline diabetes or kidney failure, or none of those things. But I do have my aches and pains. And thank God for chiropractic. And I must admit, thank God for my wife and her Reiki, because she's outstanding. Yeah. And so any other questions?
Yeah, it's wonderful. I love to listen to you. So I'm thinking about I mean, taking your seminars. It's one of the best seminars I've taken, and each time has been unique. And I also have the online version as well. And your notes are among the best I've ever come across in chiropractic. And I reread them.
Good.
And we talk about principle-based chiropractic, coming back to they call the 33 principles. But you have added extra to it and increased it. And you have a way of arranging the three principles as well in an understanding for a chiropractor. But if you would just like touch base on a little bit on that, where you are, what you would like to share in regards to principle-based chiropractic for a lay person, the importance of coming from that understanding, which the basic being tone, but also unify man, spiritual, man, physical, these original concepts that are the foundation of our philosophy.
Yes. Well, first of all, a principle is a principle, is a recognition of an unchanging law of life.
Yeah.
We call principles that are limited to physical matter, we call that the science of physics and the science of chemistry.
Yeah.
But there are also universal laws that pertain to the non-physical part of us. So we have a physical body, and we live in a physical world in this lifetime, but who we are is much more than just a physical body.
Yeah.
I mean, we have a mind. The mind and the brain are not the same thing. The brain is a physical structure, the hard drive, the hardware.
Yeah.
And the mind, you might say, is software. It's non-physical. And there's laws pertaining to that. So there's two types of logic in philosophy. There is deductive logic and there's inductive logic. Inductive logic says we learn more and more about the whole by discovering more and more about the parts. Medicine uses inductive logic. And but if the whole is more than the sum of its parts, you'll never understand the whole with inductive logic. Deductive logic starts with a premise. And if you accept the premise, everything else falls into place.
Yeah.
So chiropractic has a major premise. And I like to tell chiropractors that it's called the major premise. I like that. And the major premise of chiropractic, listen to this. There is a universal intelligence which is constantly giving to all matter its qualities and characteristics, thus maintaining all physical matter in existence. Now, I'll paraphrase it just a little bit for clarity. So did you get that? We have learned that surrounding and interpenetrating the physical body is a field of energy. We've learned that. So a lot of people think it's just surrounding the body, but it's not. It's interpenetrating the body. So it would be more correct to say the physical body is within an energy field. And so everybody knows that. But what hasn't come into mass consciousness yet is that interpenetrating the physical body and the energy body is an unbroken field of intelligence. This has been discovered and proven by quantum physics. And, quantum physics is physics that has been discovered with the discovery of subatomic structure. So quantum physics proved that the atom is not the smallest indivisible particle like had been believed for centuries. They had a name, but they hadn't discovered it yet. And with the invention of the electron microscope, scientists were able to see below or within an atom. And that within an atom is subatomic, sub meaning within an atom, structure that we've come to understand as protons, neutrons, electrons. There's a few others, but everyone learns that now. And that's part of regular physics, in fact. But it came from quantum physics. So another great contribution of quantum physics is that you cannot observe something objectively. There's no such thing as objective observation, that your belief system influences what you're observing. Your belief system influences what you're observing. And that doing experiments that were designed to prove how subatomic structures function, how the quantum physics discoveries occurred, that scientists attempting to be objective who believed one way saw that result. And scientists who believed opposite, doing the same experiment, got different results.
Yeah.
So you cannot observe something without influencing it. So I could talk about quantum physics for a whole weekend alone, but suffice it to say that the biggest discovery is that we live within a field of intelligence. And quantum physics has recognized that. It used to believe that physics was physics and thoughts were something else, and that physics was not influenced. It just was objective, it does not interact with life, and that's quantum physics. The bigger understanding disprove that.
Yeah.
So that, to the degree that we understand it and use it, it adds so much more to what we're doing.
Yeah.
And in Talsky Tonal Chiropractic, we've been able to utilize some quantum physics discoveries to deepen our understanding and our conscious use of it.
Yeah.
As part of the adjustment.
Yeah.
And remember, we're always interacting with the intelligence of life of the person, of the patient or person we're working with.
Yeah.
So I'm going to repeat the major premise of chiropractic. There is a universal intelligence, the field of intelligence, which is constantly giving to all matter its qualities and characteristics, thus maintaining everything in existence, which means maintaining physical bodies in existence.
Yeah.
So creation is not something that happened. It's something that's happening now.
Yeah.
Creation is happening all the time,
Yeah.
all the time. Through us as individuals and through the universe as a whole.
Yeah.
And it is. And so the principles went on to say that physical life is the result of intelligence expressing through matter.
Yeah.
It's the result of intelligence expressing through the physical matter of our living bodies. And we can influence that both by receiving chiropractic adjustments and with our own expectations and beliefs.
Yeah.
Which are too numerous to go into at this moment. But that's the basis of the principles of chiropractic. And to the degree that we break them down and understand them, we can use them better.
Yeah.
So My great contribution is that the principles of chiropractic are not to be memorized for a test, but something to be utilized.
Yeah.
In action, and we talk about that. We talk about how to and the value of increasing our awareness. Awareness is the amount of consciousness, understanding we can incorporate in a single moment. That's what awareness is. So using computer terms, our total memory, our subconscious mind is the reservoir of everything we've learned and experienced from the moment we were born until now.
Yeah.
That's the subconscious. And that's equivalent to a computer hard drive, internal, external hard drive. And our conscious awareness is equivalent to random accessible memory, RAM, which is how much your computer can bring up at one time to work with and handle.
Yeah.
And that's what our personal awareness is. And so becoming a chiropractor is about expanding our awareness through education and application and experience so that we can incorporate more in what we're doing.
Yeah.
Whether it be chiropractic for chiropractors, surgery for surgeons, whatever you do for a living, any game that you may play.
Yeah.
If you want to become better at tennis, or the new thing is pickleball. Do you have pickleball out there?
Not sure.
Yeah. Okay. It's actually an offshoot of tennis, but I don't play either. But it's the big thing everyone talks about. Or golf, or anything, any skill, any game or athletic event that you want to function within requires education and experience to expand your awareness of how to function in that game.
Yeah.
So connection is about expanding awareness, about connecting to what we need to connect to, universal intelligence. And we talk about the need for that. So the type of analysis we use is 3 parts, 13 observable indicators that were collected and brought together in a synthesis by Donnie Epstein. Chiropractors would know what I'm talking about. Another chiropractor.
Yeah.
He brought those together. We use it, the 13 observable indicators. Scanning palpation, which I developed for tonal chiropractic and helping to find the window into the system. And intuition.
Yeah.
You know that word, you use that word, right?
Yeah.
Intuition is receiving accurate information other than from your 5 senses, not from your 5 senses. Where does that come from? It comes from universal intelligence. We have to connect with universal intelligence. We have a whole section on that in our teaching that's been expanded and improved from the time you took the work. And You know, I mentioned the two chiropractors that are taking over my work. Coincidentally, they're both 39 years old,
Oh,
and and they've been deepening in my work. Dr. Jeremy Fow since 2015, and Dr. Zachary Connor since 2017.
yeah.
But they each have taken 20 of my seminars,
Well,
20 of my 3-day weekend seminars, and they both insist that they get new information and new understanding every time they take the work.
as it should when things develop. Yeah.
And and that's because they keep growing and expanding their own awareness and their own understanding. And I, believe it or not, I'm still growing and making discoveries.
Yeah.
And helping them each with the discoveries. And I think the biggest, most powerful thing is the package that we call harmonic resonance. And they both can teach it 100%. And I'll tell you, it took some to develop to the point of where we could do it in a cohesive whole.
Yeah.
And Zachary was instrumental in that, and there are very clear notes about it. So we've not only discovered the importance of connecting to universal intelligence, but we discovered how to, and guess what? We discovered the mechanism that universal intelligence uses to manifest things in the physical. What do you think of that?
Delightful.
I get more excited the more I teach and the more discoveries we make.
Oh, wonderful. Yeah.
Yes. And so I've talked to Jeremy and Zachary, and they're both willing to come and teach in Europe.
Well, that's wonderful. Yeah.
And they don't require first class.
Good to know.
Yes. But if you want to have me be the lead teacher, you have to come here.
Yeah.
Or chiropractors have to. Do you remember who was the first Swedish chiropractor to take my work? Do you remember?
No, Rickard?
Yes. Rickard Borgesen.
Yeah.
Borgesen. Guess what? His office is now about 6 minutes from mine.
Oh.
And he's one of the people who's taken my seminar now about 8 or 9 times and deepened in the work, uses it in his own office and comes in and gets adjusted by me and gets adjusted by me and checks and adjusts me.
Wonderful.
Ricard.
Yeah.
And that's what it's all about. So the tonal chiropractors weren't in Sweden at the time, so he's moved here.
Yeah.
He has. And I get checked regularly by 2 others, and then I get checked by Jeremy or Zachary every time I teach now, which is wonderful.
Yeah.
I had the unfortunate experience of experiencing a urinary tract infection caused by a cystoscopic examination. So the examination was medically I mean, the infection was medically caused.
Yeah.
And it wreaked havoc with me.
Yeah.
And it was terrible. And it got me to the point where I was willing to take antibiotics.
Mm.
You know, the origin of
Yeah.
the meaning of antibiotics is against life, antibiotic against life. Let that be a lesson.
Yeah.
And it didn't work. It didn't work.
Mm.
It was just persistent chiropractic, increased water, some critical supplementation, and the final thing that took care of it was low-level laser.
Yeah.
With the violet laser. The violet laser is antimicrobial.
Yeah.
Kills bacteria, virus, and bacteria and fungus. It
Yeah.
kills all three. And that was the only thing that did it.
Mm.
And you have no idea how much energy and function you're losing until you get it back.
Yeah.
So that's a little personal story there.
Yeah. Yeah.
But did I answer your questions?
Yeah. Wonderful. Yeah. It's time to wrap it up. Is there any lasting words that you would like to share to the listeners here in Sweden? Well, there will be others all over the world that hears it, but it's can.
Tonal chiropractic is the next evolutionary step in the development of chiropractic, and it's a necessary step because the needs of humanity have increased since chiropractic was first discovered.
Yeah.
And if a principle is a principle, it should never change.
Yeah.
And the basic protocol or model doesn't change frequently.
Mm.
But the actual techniques should be evolving all the time, and ours are.
Yeah.
And our protocol has just experienced one major addition since 1995.
Yeah.
And that was recently. We discovered something that I call the train, and it's part of harmonic resonance. But I think I covered it quite a bit.
For sure. Yeah, definitely. I'm so grateful for you taking your time on a Friday to share your wisdom and knowledge. So wonderful.
Well, I'm glad I did it in a way that you feel is meaningful.
That's for sure. Yes.
And I love it. I love doing this.
Yeah.
And it's a pleasure seeing you and hearing you again. Although we've texted every now and then, to actually see you and hear you is wonderful. And I really enjoyed coming to Sweden both times, and especially to be with you in your office.
Yeah, it was an honor. Yeah. And let's see if we can set up a seminar where I bring one of your projects over, and then we can perhaps you over Zoom, partially teaching or sharing your wisdoms over on the big screen.
Okay, I'm open to that. We'll have to consult Zachary on that. Yeah, because he's the master of principles and technology. And I don't have time to go in all the things he did. But by the way, you mentioned the program called the 33 Principles, with the five additional principles, Talsky Tonal Chiropractic principles. So did you actually get that? Do you have that program? Did you actually see it?
No, the notes I have is from when you were teaching in Stockholm, but also from the one that you did with
Brett Jones.
Great, yeah.
Available for other chiropractors through Brett Jones' organization, Kairos Training Culture, KAIROS.
Yeah.
It's not a derivation of the word chiropractic. It means the perfect moment. Kairos. All right. But he also did a program with me called 33 Principles with the Talsky Principles. And the way you were talking, I thought you saw that.
No, I'll have to look that up.
Yeah. Yes. We did that on 4 sessions and a total of about 6 hours. And then Brett and I did. He said, "Would you ever think of doing a seminar with me?" So we set that up, called The Power Behind the Art. And Zachary was there, and he was asked by Brett, "Can you break that down into modules?" And identify the modules. Like an index. So Zachary did. He broke it down into 27 modules. And he wrote a summary of each. Guess how many pages he wrote? 92 pages.
Wow.
92 pages of explanation about the power behind the art seminar. And if you purchase it from Kairos Training Culture, you get his 92 pages digitally.
I have to check that out. Yeah, I'll put those links out as well when I share this.
All right. Oh, I'll give you a clue. Listen to this. Kairos Training Culture has the largest collection of videos for purchase. And they're reasonably priced, but you've heard of Black Friday? Yes, Black Friday is something retail organizations put into effect the day after American Thanksgiving, which is the 3rd Thursday of the month. That Friday, it's called Black Friday, and lots of things go on sale. And Brett Jones has started a tradition of selling everything at half price on Black Friday and the weekend after American Thanksgiving. So my entire program, the seminar, 33 Principles, and the Power Behind the Art can be bought on the Black Friday and the weekend after Thanksgiving, American Thanksgiving, for half price.
That's wonderful.
So that's the time to buy it. Well, it's been great.
Coming up as well.
Yeah, that's what I mean. We're talking about maybe 5 weeks from now. A short time to wait, and the best time to get it for half price. All right. This has been great.
Thank you so much.
And I would love to see you at a U.S. seminar, at a U.S. Talsky. I've been increasing my connection to the Sherman College of Chiropractic in Spartanburg, South Carolina. And it would be great to see you at a seminar where I'm still the lead teacher while I'm still alive and teaching.
Yeah, for sure.
All righty.
I'm looking forward.
So you'll send me a link to the recording of this, right?
Yeah, I'll send you the link. Yeah, both the YouTube and as well on Spotify and Apple. So it will be both video and it will be links that are audio as well. Yeah.
All right. Thank you. I
Yeah.
appreciate what you set up. I love doing this. And until we talk again, whenever that is,
Yeah.
I love and appreciate you.
The same. Blessings. Thank you so much. I'll stop the recording here.
Okay.